recording. So I'm really excited to share with you some of what we know works in a digital environment. And I want to stress that, for a lot of people, we're on a different continuum of where we've used digital. I'm going to share with stuff with you that the research shows works, that I know works from personal experience. I don't think I'm going to do anything today that I haven't personally done, either with adults or kids, before. So, as we get into it, keep that lens in mind. We're thinking about what we know works for kids. So there might be lots of ideas of things that you might do or try or want to do, but I'll always frame it in lenses of what does work and what we know doesn't work too. So first things first, I want to make sure we have a method of communication. Now on the GoToMeeting platform, you'll see in all your windows with all that stuff, in the upper right-hand corner, there should be a little call-out box. It looks like like a cartoon thing. And that's the chat window. So I'm going to encourage everyone to open the chat window at this time, and then we're going to test to make sure everything's working okay. So please just type me a quick hello or a quick, very short message. I'm not going to be able to read them all because they're going to come in so fast. We have 96 people on the call. Yeah, there we go. All right. So once you're comfortable with that, and we know that, so now we know the system's working. What I want to keep in mind is that if you have a question or something you want to pose, do it over there, okay? And that way, with 96 people on the call, we can't have conversations going back and forth. I think I've hit the mute button on all about 20 times already because people keep unmuting themselves. So we're going to stay muted for this time, unless at the end we have a little bit of time. So leadership in a digital environment, that's where we're going from. So the agenda today is to think about digital learning, and that's really what I'm going to present to you to start. This is really about the philosophy of what we want to do with kids and adults. And then at that point, if you're fine with that content and you're good, you can sign off at that point. What I'm going to do after that is I'm going to show you how to create a Google Hangout, and that's optional. If you know how to create a Google Hangout, there's really no need to stay and listen to that. And the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to help you create a Google Classroom. Again, if you know how to do that already, there's no need to stay in that portion of the session. You can move on to the work that you need to do for everybody. So just keep that in mind. We do have a group of administrative super users too, who can be your supports if you need help. Besides me, there are others who have volunteered to step up and help you with the use of some of this digital technology. So let's get into it. Okay, so now I want to start off by saying this presentation I'm going to do for you now, and this talk we're going to have, and what we're really encouraging, it's not about clicking, right? I was talking to my sister-in-law, who is the director of curriculum and instruction in a district in upstate New York, and they're in the same boat. They're considering the same things, but I think we're maybe in a better place to do some of this stuff. She had a teacher ask her. So teacher asked her, director of curriculum instruction, so how do we find the Google? And now maybe we have some people that are in that place. How do we find the Google? I think we're probably way ahead of that right now in this district, and that just goes to show there's going to be a wide range of abilities to do things. Okay, now you might be wondering, are you going to get a copy of this presentation? And absolutely, but you cannot have it now. Okay, you cannot have it now because we need to go in order and we need to stick together. And I don't want people jumping ahead and jumping through. So I will share it at the end of the presentation. And I'm using a platform right now called GoToMeeting. The reason I'm using GoToMeeting is because it's something I'm very familiar with, I'm very comfortable with, and I've used it at scale for lots of things. There are other platforms that do very, very similar thing, including the Google Meet, which I'll show a little later, including Zoom. So there are options to do this kind of work. And I think we're already getting the feeling that it's important to be able to be tangibly talking with each other as we do these things. So again, this is not, what I'm going to talk about now is not about clicking and clicking and clicking. This is about thinking about how instruction looks in a digital learning environment. Okay. And so if we think about digital learning, there are certainly attributes to digital learning, and we'll talk about some of those. But I think what is more important, there needs to be an underlying cohesive philosophy associated with good digital learning, and that's where I'm going to focus a lot of my energy now, is talking about that underlying philosophy. So this is a model that I did probably about 12, 15 years ago in terms of how levels of implementation take place when you're thinking about technology. Okay, and so level one is retrofitting. So if we're going to take what we do in the classroom and do it exactly the same, but just do it in an online setting or on a digital setting, then we're just retrofitting. We're not changing anything. Simplest way to think about this is, years ago, teachers would write on the chalkboard or maybe use an overhead projector to communicate information. And then if you switch that to a PowerPoint presentation, you're using technology, but you really haven't changed anything. It's still didactic presentation of information in a direct instruction setting. Teacher is sage, delivering information to children who may be copying it down or such. That's a retrofit model. If you do something in your classroom and you want to do exactly the same digitally, you're just retrofitting. Technology offers us more options. And so if you move up a level, you can think about retooling. And that's adding and expanding opportunities for more options. There's not just the classroom's books in the classroom. There's a whole wealth of other materials that kids can read if they are targeted and selected. We're retooling. We're adding options where those options did not exist previously. At the far end, and by the way, I think a lot of us have already gotten to retooling. Okay, I think there's a lot of retooling that's already taking place across the district on many, many different avenues. But we're doing something really different. We're not going into a building. We're not meeting face to face with kids. We're not necessarily doing things in the same way. We are reconfiguring what we're doing, and that's a totally different way of thinking of things. We are looking at options that do not exist without the technology. And so when you talk with your teachers, when you talk with those that you're leading, think about, how do we reconfigure what we're doing to still effectively reach kids. And so we'll talk about some of those reconfiguring options and retooling options as we go along. So let's first talk about the idea of personalized learning, because that's where a lot of technology-based instruction is rooted. If you know about the work at the Students at the Center, a hub, and the Student-Centered Learning Initiative, you'll probably be familiar with these ideas. The logo in the upper right-hand corner really speaks to the whole model of what student-centered learning should look like. But I'm going to really just focus on the idea of personalized learning. And there's a definition in the box that describes it, meeting individual developmental needs of kids. And that's that whole idea that technology can be adaptive. We can adjust to kids. And we have some of those platforms already in district that adapt to their needs. What I need is what I get. But I think the much more important part of doing good personalized learning is all about relationships. And that's developing and maintaining connections with kids. Okay? That's also about developing and maintaining relationships with our peers as well. So let's really think, in a digital environment, it's all about the relationships. We can have a relationship right now, even though I'm in my basement right now and I've decided that the compact fluorescent lights, above me are making me look way too yellow, and I'm certainly probably getting a glare off the top of my head. I'm sorry, Sal, you know about that too. And we're trying to do stuff in a different world, in a different place.
Thank you, Frank.
I don't know where all of you are at, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're at, as long as we can collaboratively work together and share. So think about relationships. Okay. Think about people feeling connected. This is the key to this whole process. This will not work if students, parents, and teachers do not feel connected. This is where I'm seeing a lot of the fall down. For example, with my own kids right now who are working, where their teachers are giving them stuff in the morning via an email, And that's basically it for the day. And then they're working and they feel totally disconnected from their teacher. So we know the relationship to student to teacher is really important, that they feel connected in that way. But I'm also going to suggest to you that it is just as important for students to feel connected, and we need to create opportunities for them to connect with each other. And then also teacher to teacher connection. We can't forget about keeping our teachers connected. And while you might do a meeting like this with your teachers, we have to think about ways to create small groups for teachers to talk with each other, to share what they're learning about this process, and to be able to feel like their voice is being heard by people. So think about relationships. If that's really the most important thing I can stress in this whole morning with you, is the relationships are everything. Here. Okay, so let's try something interactive to start with. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to pose a question. What is something that you are planning to do to ensure that you are connecting with teachers and staff? So now what I'm going to do in order to make this happen, oops, I'm going to pop out of this for a second. I'm going to grab the link. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this link and I'm going to post it in the chat room. Okay? So now once you see the link there, you can click on that link and you will be brought to that interaction activity. So on the interaction activity, what you'll see once you get there, and people, there we go. Now that's starting to populate all over the place. I've been running on 2 screens. So I'm not looking at your screen right now. It's because I'm looking on what you're planning to do. So you'll find your name. And what I want you to do is share with us something that you're planning to do to make sure that teachers and staff feel connected. Put that in the column B. So I see someone in the C column. Make sure you stay in the B column. Now let me give you some metacognitive, as you're doing that, let me just give you some metacognitive thoughts about the way I set this up. And I very purposefully set this up in a specific way. So first of all, I put your names in a column. And the reason I put your names in a column is because I know with 100 people, I'm going to have a problem if people are randomly selecting their cells, and it's not going to stay organized. So there's my planning in the process. I planned ahead to make sure all the names were there because I know where I want everyone to put their information. The second thing you'll notice is the C column has a blank in it. I'm going to do something with that in a little bit. Planned ahead. Okay. And then the third thing is I've chosen to do this in a spreadsheet format. I'm comfortable with spreadsheets. I think it's a good way to populate, and people later, if they want to, can sort and sift this and look at it for themselves to get some ideas for themselves. So I've really purposefully planned the nature of this. The first time I did a spreadsheet activity like this, I think was, I don't know, 2008 or so, right after Google Sheets had first come out. And I was teaching a statistics class at university. I put this up and I had no idea that this was going to happen this way. And all of a sudden, people's data started going in. I thought it was just such a cool thing. And it's a simple thing to do. Like, everyone can feel connected. They can be a part of the conversation right now. So lots of stuff is going in, it looks like. Okay, if your name's not on the list, I apologize ahead of time. We did have a few add-ons. Later, you can always add your name at the bottom if your name is not there. And a lot of these are still lit. So I'm going to wait 1 minute for you to fill in your idea.
Frank, what am I doing wrong that I can't edit? I can't type on it.
Refresh the page. I'm assuming you're on your Danbury Public Schools.
There we go. Thank you. I still can't type.
All right, so you might be on, what I'll do is I'll change the settings to the entire universe can do it. I'm guessing you're probably on the wrong account because you have to be in the Danbury Public Schools account to do this. So if you're in a personal as your primary link, you can also try, Sarah suggested you can also try triple clicking the cell. Okay. So we got a few more people that are still on cells, but we're pretty close at this point, having a lot of information here. Yeah. So Kara agrees with me that you must be on your DPS account. If you're on a personal Gmail account, that's why you're blocked. Although I did change the settings on it, so the whole entire universe can actually get on this right now. Okay. So now, part 2, you've noticed I've now changed the column in C. I specifically waited on that because then people are going to start responding. I would like you to do now, what I would like you to do now is find the person who has responded who is under you. Okay. So, like for example, Jen Blue in cell 4, you're going to give a response to Kristen Bradley, who's right underneath you. So give that person some feedback on what they.
Excuse me, Frank?
Hang on, if you wouldn't mind, just type in the chat box instead. All right.
I did, Frank. It's there.
Got it. I got it.
Your editing rights expired.
Got it. Let me just fix that. Okay. All back to normal. Okay. Just refresh it. You should be good. So respond to the person who is directly below you. If you're the person at the bottom, who's on the bottom? Christy, probably Z. We got some people. So Kristen Ward, why don't you respond to the first, since you've already responded, respond to the person on top. Okay. That way we just create a circle. So you're going to give feedback. Is everyone, are we back in? Refresh the page. I've changed the settings. Anyone with the link can edit. So it's set for anyone to edit. I'm able to edit. Okay, again. Just refresh the page if you need to refresh the page, and then you'll be back in again. Again, I'd just like to ask everyone, please keep yourself on mute, and I will continue to mute people as we go as well. So if you still can't edit, close the window and then just go back to the link at where I placed the link in. Close that window and just go back to the link and reopen it, and that should solve your problem. Yeah. So people are responding, so we do know it's working. So if for some reason you can't edit, close the link and reopen it. And we see lots of activity going on. So I think if I were to do this again, my learning on this is if I were to do this again, I would say you have to be on your Danbury Public Schools account, and I wouldn't have switched the access rights then, because that created a little bit of chaos for me. So I think it's really important, and we got to stress this with kids too, to be on the right account to be able to do this. Okay. So this is ignorant. So this is just really a simple thing where you can have some interaction taking place. We've got a real-time synchronous event where people are sharing ideas, and then I'm asking people to read other people's ideas and give some feedback on it. So I'm going to now switch back over here. View where we left off. Pull this over here so I can see what's going on there. Okay. The interaction is key. There is going to be a wide continuum of people.
Frank, I still could not write anything.
All right, so we can talk about that offline at some other time, okay? And we'll figure out. So if anyone is having a problem, we might need to help you figure out what's going on and why it's not working for you. We'll come back to that at another time, because it looks like I got lots of people populating stuff right now. There's over 70 people on the document, it looks like, from my perspective. So if anyone needs help with this, this would be a great opportunity when we do the super users at the end to contact one of them or contact me. I'm more than happy to help you work through whatever issue with the sharing that happened, because I'm sure we have a small option someplace. Again, the big thing to make sure you're logged into your Danbury Public Schools account when you're doing this stuff. That is going to happen for the later one, and if you're not on Danbury Public Schools, I won't change the settings on that one later. So this is a real simple interaction activity in terms of just a document where people are sharing back and forth. I think most people are familiar with creating a document. make some columns. People can type their questions to you. We're doing a little more sophisticated using the GoToMeeting. I'm having to manage the system at the same time as I'm doing the presentation, so there's multiple things on my end that's happening. That's a little more sophisticated, and we'll get it to work. Now I want to go back to the comments again to make sure if anything else comes up. Again, okay, so we're going to move on. Okay, now this is really important. I need you to think about this in a meaningful way. Things that work in the classroom, and I say the classroom meaning the physical classroom, don't always translate to digital. Okay, so you can't expect the things that work in the classroom will work online the same way. That's the whole idea of reconfiguring. Some things are going to have to change. I mean, planning is really key in this, and planning for digital always takes longer than expected. Okay, there should be some sort of plan. Okay, and your constituents, whoever they are, need to know what the plan is. And I think the plan is probably on a weekly basis, not on a daily basis. That is really tough. The whole idea, the whole point of digital is that it's asynchronous. So we know that digital works best when we minimize scheduling things. There are times when you want to schedule and have a synchronous event, because maybe once a week we're doing something, or maybe once or twice a week we're doing something where I want the kids there, or I want my teachers there all at the same time. Okay, so don't, it will not work if you say, one of the things we're seeing districts doing, and I kind of laughed when I heard about this, is some districts were saying, we're going to follow our normal bell schedule during the day. I heard of one school that they even take lunch at the time they normally take lunch. And we're going to go class by class by class. And that is a really bad idea. It is, and I will tell you, it's not going to work either. It's not going to work. If you expect kids to follow a daily schedule, it will not work. We know this doesn't work. The whole point of digital is that things are asynchronous. A kid might need a parent who might be at work during the day, but can certainly do something in the afternoon or evening. There are going to be times when kids can't be with you when you need them to be with you. You have to take that into consideration in your design. And the whole point of the digital is that we don't have to do everything at the same time. We need to leverage that. We can't just, as I started in the beginning, retrofit, make the classroom look exactly the same in digital. It won't work. We have to rethink and reconfigure. Okay? Think about the flexibility associated with being asynchronous. Now, the plan is that you need to plan for interaction, and that will be a synchronous event, most likely, okay? I'm going to work with teachers at 12 o'clock today, our super user team, and we're going to come up with a menu of options for teachers, especially considering the varying degree of technology expertise. If people want to do really sophisticated stuff and they're capable, they should do it. But we want every teacher to have something they can feel comfortable with doing to create that interaction with kids. Okay. What is really important is we have to include accountability measures in the process. You know, how are we monitoring? Okay. How are you going to monitor the process? Okay. And Jen and I are actually, Jen Blue, who's my assistant principal, and I have really talked about, like, how we did a draft of something for monitoring, and we don't like it. So now we're rethinking it, like, how are we going to monitor? And I think that's really important. Teachers need to monitor kids, and kids need to be monitored, and then administrators need to provide monitoring and support for their teachers as well. Now, please consider everything the kids are doing is the equivalent of homework. Okay? Everything is homework because they're doing it at home. So it's not like we have to teach something and then assign more homework to it. Think about the planning as a continuum of learning, what happens along the way, because everything they're doing is homework. Okay? So there's been a question that's popped up about taking attendance. Okay? we'll talk a little bit about attendance taking afterwards and get some feedback for you on that. But you should not assume that attendance is taken at the same time every day. A kid should have an opportunity during the day to have a check-in process, okay? And that can be an asynchronous process. We shouldn't have been expected to be synchronous again because we don't know when they're going to be able to do the work. So remember, students and teachers have varying levels of autonomy in this process and will need support in the process, okay? So create a structure where you can take attendance at some point, and then don't insist on being done like at 8 o'clock in the morning, because it's just not going to work. And you're going to have a lot of people absent that are potentially going to be doing work during the day. Okay, so I'm going to give this a shot again for the monitoring, and that's just going to be our attendance taking process for this. Okay, since I know we're all here, so I have a separate document for attendance. I'm not going to change the settings on it this time. Hopefully I didn't screw it up. We'll find out in a second. Okay, so I've shared the link for you to sign in and take attendance. I didn't do it at the beginning. Again, for very specific reasons. I didn't want people who might have joined later to have to miss something. So I said, no, specifically, I will do it a little bit later. It just crashed on my end as you're logging on, so it's reconnecting on my end. That's another thing you can watch too. Watch the top portion to see what's going on. We might be overloading the Google at this point. Yeah. And Marnie's saying, not so sure taking attendance at a certain time works for elementary, and I agree with that. We have to think about not being on a specific time frame. I'm assuming I'm getting a Google error right now on my end. Can someone just let me know if you're still hearing me talk? Yes, okay, thank you for those of you that.
Still hearing you talk.
Thank you. So, thank you for those of you that shared back with me. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so the document is, yeah. So the document repopulated for me and popped off again. Hopefully one of my children's not running a heavy-duty YouTube video upstairs. I asked them to spare me some bandwidth today, just for the morning. All right.
Frank, I have access to the document, but I cannot edit.
All right. So Augusto, I really think because of you're having the same problem that you had before, that you have a settings issue, and what we can do is I'll try to, if you don't mind, I'll troubleshoot that with you later, because people are populating the document without any problem. So I'll help you with afterwards, and we'll figure out what your settings are, and it's probably just gonna be a talk through, and we'll check a few things to make sure you're set the right way. I'm actually finding right now that my thing is popping on and off right now on my end, but it looks like people have filled out the form, so that's great. Okay.
Frank, I think that might be what's happening, that it's reconnecting because there's so many people on. And
Yeah.
when it's reconnecting, it looks like you can't write in it.
Yeah. So just look at the top of your screen. Mine is not currently doing that right now. Let me see if I can slide this over. If you have something up here that says reconnecting or whatever, you don't see the people on the side over here, that might be what one of the issues might be for you. But again, we'll be happy to troubleshoot that with anybody. I'll put that back over here because I don't need that. Okay. Digital options offers choice, and we have to think about giving kids choice. Always relate to mastering standards, though. We have to think about standards in this process, and we have to relate all the learning to standards. We're still a standards-based organization. Now, remember, if a kid can look it up, they will. Okay? So if you're asking, don't set yourself up for things where you're wondering about academic honesty or misconduct. Think about ways to push kids to collaborate, to communicate, to use those resources to answer more challenging things. Think about assessing authentically. And think about options for projects for kids to demonstrate their mastery. And obviously those are digital projects. Some people are not going to be ready for that. So don't force the issue. But this is something that I had done a while back when relating to thinking about the digital environment for learning. One of my lines that I often use is, kids are doing research. I'm doing research. Research, research, research. And when you dig down a little on what research is looking stuff up on the internet. Okay? So looking stuff up, while a form of doing research, is not the extent of research. This is a consumer-based model. Knowledge is out there someplace, and kids are harnessing that information. It's a one-way direction. Students are consumers of information. When we get to a more sophisticated look, you have to be a good consumer of information. That never changes. However, think about options for kids to be producers of knowledge. They can create pretty amazing things if you let them and you encourage them. You don't necessarily have to know how they did it, but give options for kids to be not just consumers, be producers. That's going to be a real strength in a digital environment. So, if I think about some other things you need to consider, be device agnostic, okay? It doesn't matter what device you're on right now. What you're doing right now works. If you're on a Chromebook, if you're on a desktop, if you're on a Macintosh, if you're on a PC, if you're on an iPhone, if you're on an iPad, stuff pretty much is working for everybody. As long as you have access to the browser, the thing that will get you in trouble is if you have to have this specialized app or this specialized this or that specialized that. That becomes a challenge and hard to manage. When it's just, everyone's equity point is access to the web, that's where you're going to find power in learning. We level the playing field by making access to the web through a browser the point of entry. Okay? Think about that. Don't look for specialized software uh, unless it runs via the web, and unless, as Kara would say, it's approved and it requires personal information as approved by the district. So, but be device agnostic in the things you do. All this Google stuff is device agnostic. It works on any platform. This GoToMeeting, which I'm running right now, works on any platform. It works because, and it's going to work for kids, level playing field, equity. Doesn't matter if you have the $125 Chromebook or the $3,000 MacBook Pro. They all work the same if we're thinking about it that way. And we did the consumer, that's the wrong arrow. Short 5-minute tutorial videos are very helpful. Now, not everybody is ready to make tutorial videos, but we're going to have some super users be sharing the way to do that. Yesterday, I think Kara pushed out some videos that my administrative assistant made in terms of how to set up your Power School account as a parent. They're all under 5 minutes. Each one, they're in 3 different languages. They're all under 5 minutes. Follow, quick, do, done. So if there are options for making tutorial videos, they're very helpful. A lot of these are already made, by the way. Think about if you're looking to figure something out and you go to YouTube to try to figure something out. I was doing some work at my wife's physical therapy clinic. We were installing this cabinet system. I had a drawer that I was putting in, and I put a clip on upside down. So when I put the drawer in, it didn't slide in the right location. It was off. And I couldn't figure out how to take the stupid drawer out of the shelf. I'm like, what is going on? And I finally just said, let me find a YouTube video. I found a 17-second video that showed me how to release the clip that I couldn't figure out on my own and solve my problem. Short videos make a big difference, and they are very helpful. I know we're going to have some of our super users showing some Screencastify options, QuickTime options. They are very helpful for kids. When your teachers are ready to do them, but that's more of an advanced skill type of thing. Okay, so I've kind of set up this stage now for the idea of what digital learning is about. So this is kind of my summary. No, it's not kind of. It is my summary of what I think digital learning is, if it's working properly. Digital learning leverages high quality standards-based teaching and learning with many opportunities for interaction, using high levels of student engagement and achievement to promote mastery. Okay? So if we think about those things, standards-based teaching and learning, opportunities for interaction, high levels of engagement to lead to achievement and promote mastery, I think we'll be in a really, really good place with our kids, and not just retrofitting what we might have done in the classroom to a digital environment. We got to think through it a little more sophisticated than that, and we have to help our teachers think through it in a more sophisticated way. So who are you going to call if you have a problem? So this is a list of administrators who have volunteered to be our super users to support other administrators. We have a whole list. I've already sent to all the principals the list of the teachers that are doing, but this is going to be administrator to administrator. If you are an administrator and you want help, call me or call any of the people on the super users list, and we'll be more than happy to support you in the process of getting digital and making it work for you and your faculty members. So with that, I'm going to take a pause right now. I'm going to take a pause right now. And I don't know if anyone, Sal or Kara or Kevin, want to add anything to the conversation at this point. If anyone has any questions, you can certainly populate them as well. This is not the answer to everything right now. Clearly, it's not. We're going to have to do lots of feedback loops in the process to make sure we're able to do the things we need to do to make the teachers and kids successful. Okay?
No, Frank, I just want to say thank you. I'm glad you adjusted my IEP to go slow enough so I can deal with this.
All right.
Hi, Frank. It's Kara. Hi, everyone. So first of all, Frank, I want to thank you for putting this together. This is amazing. This is a great model, just in terms of expectations for what it could look like, should look like. Just a note for K-5. I know I sent an email out, a little bit of clarification. One of the things I have lots of people who are sending me a variety of schedules and templates and all kinds of things, and we are going to put something together as a guidance for K-5 in particular, who has one teacher teaching multiple subjects throughout the day, and I know there's a little stress on teachers in terms of what that looks like. And one of the things that Frank and I had some good conversations on about that, not trying to replicate the school day in an 8 to 3 model, and really the guidance is around the normal things that they would teach, but teaching them in a different way and providing opportunities in a different way. And so we will push out some more information on that, and we'll have some samples for teachers on Wednesday to look at. But I just wanted to put that out there because I know there's a little bit of confusion about really the kind of the goals of distance learning, and so there'll be more information coming, and that'll be part of the training. But please be patient, because we are not just building one plane as we're flying. We're building a fleet of planes while we're flying, and we're putting together literally what should be a 2 to 3 year rollout in about a week. So stay with us and keep the teachers positive. Thanks.
Marnie's asking.
Frank,
Go ahead.
Frank, you had mentioned that you're going to have kind of a side one-on-one with some of us that couldn't edit or had some issues. Will that make some announcement at the end of this for follow-up?
So I'm actually not ending right now. What I'm going to do is whoever wants to get off can get off, and then I'm going to do 2 additional things, which are going to be very much demonstration-based and skill-based, which would be to help people set up a Google Hangout or a Google Meet, and then also to set up a Google Classroom. And I'm going to give some strategies around that and some important aspects, and it's going to be demonstration-based more than anything else. And then if anyone wants specific help on something else, contact one of these super users or contact me, and we'll figure it out with you, because some of those might be better one-on-one if people need help.
Okay, so you're not expecting any thumbs up or down if anybody needs help, right? You just contact Chris, Frank, John,
I'm gonna,
Meg, Laura, Dana, Mark, or Christy.
yeah. So I'm just gonna push it back. Contact one of these people if you want some help. That's what we're here to do. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. Good job. Thank you. And thank you, super users.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. I need to take a pause right now because I mean, this is a dad home too, so I have kids upstairs that need something real quick. So I'm going to just step away for about 2 minutes, and then I'll be back. Again, if you're comfortable with setting up a Google Meet or setting up a Google Classroom, there is no reason to stay on the call. This is going to be very mechanical in nature. Those of you that need help setting up the Google Meet and the Google Hangout, stay on board, and we'll continue that conversation. So I will be back in 2 minutes. Okay.
How you doing, Edie? Can you hear me?
Great, Dr. Sal. And yourself?
Oh, good. I could have a class here. Let's see. Who do I have here? Kara, Fallon. Can't see here.
All right, I'm
How
back.
you doing? Well, the kids didn't keep you long enough.
Yeah. We had a.
You got to be on my triplets. They'll drive you crazy.
So I had a.
Can I ask
Oh,
before you start, Frank?
all right. All right. So
Frank,
yes, who's there?
this is Edie. May I ask a question before you start?
Sure.
I did type it in the chat,
Okay. Let me.
but this is for Kara, Dr. Sal. I actually found like 2 or 3 families that do not have internet in their home. What do we do with that?
I thought they were Kara. Or is Kara Wanza on? KW. You on?
Sal, it's Kelly. There, can you hear me?
Yes.
There are free resources for 60 days of free internet in Danbury through Charter, Comcast, Xfinity. They're posted on our district website, and you can show families to that, but they will provide free internet access for a minimum of 60 days. And I would encourage the PPS staff, and I'll go over that with them more tomorrow, but they can be utilized to link one-on-one with the families to help get them set up.
And that's on the website, right?
It's on the district website under one of the resource links for COVID-19. I can send it directly to you, Edie, if that helps.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
I'll do that.
Kara Wanza said if you have a cable box in your home, Cablevision, apparently they have a chip in there they've activated, and that's the free internet if you have that cable box. That's what Kara's husband communicated with us. Wanzer.
Excellent. All right, I'm unmuting. I'm muting back.
All right. So we still have 86 people here. Wow, that's a lot of smiling faces. That is pretty awesome that everyone still wants to hear a little more. All right. So
Frank, I was like, come on. When you started this system, you set this up, you said in a format that I'm looking at now. How I would set up my class. I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
Top to little initials, and you set that up.
Yeah. So I basically set the meeting up in the platform. I'm going to show you the Google Hangout version of it as well. I'm just very comfortable in this platform. That's why I chose to use this one. So I set up the meeting. Let me just show you what it looks like, actually. Let's go to
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to share a different screen now. So now I will be looking sideways at everybody because I'm using a different screen. So this is the GoToMeeting hub. I got this out of the way. Let's see what we got. Yeah. So this. Okay. So basically, all I have to do, like, these are all my meetings that I set up for the next few days. So I create a meeting, and then I say what I want it to be, and I set the time for it. And then when I click, it gives me this information, and then I just copy this information out and paste it in an email or put it on a calendar invite. Um, and then when we start, I start the meeting, and then I have a slightly different view than you have right now. So really, what you're seeing, like you see my screen, and you notice this screen is not what I'm showing you right now in terms of my browser is not taking up the whole window, because on the right side, what I'm seeing is my control panel, which has all the chat information and so on. Okay, so I have the app installed on my computer, but you can do this totally web-based. So Jody's asking, is this meeting platform free? GoToMeeting is actually not free, but Zoom, Z-O-O-M, is free. It has some restrictions on it there. It's a freemium model, so this is a free plus the buy-up stuff. Google Hangouts, already part of our system. That works very, very similar to all of these. You can share, you want to have options, or you can share your screen and then share faces if you want to share faces. Now, I mean, if you look at what's going on right now in terms of people, when we look at the people pictures, only a few people are sharing their cameras right now, but it's still working just fine. I can also see by looking at that the majority of people are on their computers because it's showing the microphone. Although whoever IN is, I'm not sure who IN is. I noticed they're on a telephone. So that person is on a telephone. Whoever is J is on a telephone. MM is on a telephone as well, and that's the other option as well. Okay. Google. Okay. So I think Zoom went its free version to 45 sessions. I believe that was the case too, but I was speaking with Christy yesterday, and Christy had indicated that for education, they've extended that and taken that 45-minute limit off. Tammy asked, Google Hangout limits number of participants. The answer is yes. The limit is 100 participants. The one I'm using right now, GoToMeeting, limits at 150 participants. Okay. So with video, so Sarah's saying Google Hangouts with video limits to 10 participants. So so there might be some contradicting information there. The information I had said 100. It used to be 50. It was up to 100. I know we did the admin council meetings on the Hangout, and we were up around 50 or so too. Yeah. So Christy says Zoom is 100 participants. It has a pop-up that said it has suspended the 40-minute limit for schools. And Chrissy said they used it the other day for 84 staff, and it worked well. And Zoom doesn't have a limit anymore, also being said. So and I think we had a pretty good streaming success here. Actually, there's still 83 people on this call. So that's good in that sense. All right. Any other questions? And I'll move on because I know we've got lots of things to do. So GoToMeeting, I'm not sure of the price structure on it. This is what we used when I turned the science fair virtual. So we had 5 different rooms simultaneous running. I would say use the free Zoom or Hangouts. That's probably your best bet at this point. Again, my choice to use this right now because I'm very familiar with it. And when I do something, I want to make sure I'm going to have 100 people with me. I want to make sure what I'm doing is going to work and that I'm comfortable interfacing things. And so I know already how I have to move windows around when I'm doing all the stuff that you can't see me doing right now that I'm doing to make this work. I'm comfortable with that. Okay. All right, Mike, you said you can just post that link right in the chat room. You don't have to send it to me. You can actually just put it right in the chat room so people can see it. Okay, let us go. So now let's do this. How are we going to do this? So I'm going to pull this back in here. So I'm not going to run this as a presentation up anymore. I'm just going to, because I'm going to be toggling and doing some demonstrations. If you want to do this with me, that is fine too. My suggestion is if you can get 2 windows side by side, it would make it easier. So we did the who you're going to call. Now has this thing updated yet? Okay, it's just shifting. So we're going to do Google Meet. Google Meet or Google Hangouts, they are the same things. I made a little checklist of things that are important to it. The Google Calendar is probably the easiest way to set up an event. Up to 100 participants. Again, you have to do this mute your mic thing when you have a large group. We did a meeting this morning. Jen, myself, and our 2 administrative assistants met this morning. That's fine to not mute because it's only 4 people. We can have a conversation. But once you start getting over 6 or 7, you really don't want to be in a position where people are talking, because you don't know if someone's talking over someone, because the software sometimes just pulls one of the voices to do that. So Google Calendar, up to 100 participants. Okay, this is the easiest way to set it up. So I'm going to make an appointment for nonprofits. I have a nonprofit meeting tomorrow. So I'm going to say we're going to do a faculty meeting. I'm going to set it up for 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Okay? It's going to be 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. See where it says right here, add conferencing? If I click on add conferencing, it will pop out something that says Hangouts Meet. I click on the Hangouts Meet, and it will generate a link for me. Okay, so the link I can't see on my side screen. It looks like the link is now there. You can either add all the guests, which would be your faculty or whoever you want at the meeting, and it'll go on their calendar as well. Or you could just share this link. Now, if I were sharing the link, I would share it through Google Classroom. You could email it to everybody too. I've tried in my life to get off of the world of email everything because sometimes I lose stuff along the way and it's hard to keep track of those things. Then what the person has to do is all they have to do is click on that link. You know, if you want to click on the link, it'll open another window. Very similar to, so now you're going to see me like in multiple places. So you have me on the GoToMeeting, wherever that is right now. And then now I've started a Google Meet. So it's going to basically ask me here, you know, test my microphone, test my camera. Do I want them on or do I want them off? If I want to join now, I join now. If I want to be the presenter, I can present. It's really that easy. That's all there is. If you want to have a phone option, there's a phone option there. The system will even call you itself to get you in. Okay? So that's really all there is to setting up a Google Meet. The easiest way is make it on your calendar, take that link, and find a way to share it. So either share it by adding guests. You can add the whole faculty. In larger screen, let me see if I can do that. Okay, let's see. Okay. So again, I'll say how I did that again. I'm going to cancel this actually, and I'll do it again. I'm going to do the whole thing again. So let's say I want to have a meeting on Thursday. So I'm going to click on my calendar for a Thursday meeting. I'm going to say meeting with science teachers. I'm going to do that at 10 a.m. It's going to go till 11 a.m. for 1 hour. And then right here, see where it says add conferencing? I click on that. It'll add the option of Hangouts Meet. And then I'm going to get the link. And then that link, I can share that link. Now the question is, can you do it directly in Google Hangouts? And someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I have tried to go to Google Hangouts to do this, which is meet.google.com. I left the meeting. It says join or start a meeting. So it doesn't, when you do that, it's a live meeting. And it starts it right away. So if you go directly to Google Hangouts, you're starting it right then and there, okay? If you want to schedule it for a specific time, you do that through your calendar. And I believe there is an option to share screen on that as well. Okay, yeah. So you can see, like I said, present. It gives the option. I have two screens right now. This is my laptop. This is my big screen. So if I want to share the screen, then I can just hit share the screen, and then I'm presenting to everyone. So I'm sharing my screen now, and so I'm actually running two simultaneous meetings right now. I'm running our GoToMeeting right now, and then I started a Google Hangout, but no one's in my Google Hangout one, so no one's seeing that. And I hear my hard drive spinning up, so it must be a tax on the computer right now. Okay. So Carmen, I hope that answers your question in terms of setting it up. And I can return that to the proper size. Oops, too slow. Return that to the proper size. And we're going to discard that. Okay, so that's how you sign up a, does it provide audio and video and mute options? So it does, however, different than what I'm doing right now. Like I have control over muting options, so I can mute everyone on demand when I do it this way. All right, so let's just check my notes to make sure I did what I wanted to do. I don't need this, I don't need this. Over here. So so that is the checklist for the Google Meet. Now I'm going to go to the Google Classroom. So if you're happy with Google Meet, you just wanted to hear about Google Meet, Google Hangouts, and you're good, please feel free to leave the call at this time. You do not need to, if you know how to set up a Google Classroom, there is no need to stay on board for this portion. So I'm going to do the Google Classroom setup. And again, anybody who needs additional specific help can get that from me or the super users at any time, one-on-one, make it easier. Okay, so now, this is my Google Classroom checklist. So I just want to talk about a few things. If I am on the, on most of my Google pages, I see something that looks like this. It's called the Waffle. Waffles. So I don't see it on this page on my presentation, but like on my calendar, I see the Waffle here. See, it's right here. If I click on the Waffle, it gives me options. For elementary in particular, we're going to have to share with our families about the Waffle for navigation purposes. Look at my Google folder. Look, here's my Google Drive, and there in the corner is the Waffle, and it gives me access to the apps. Go on my email. Okay, here's the Waffle. It's in all of those locations. Okay, that is the navigation tool. Now, one of the things that I learned a few years ago, which I found particularly interesting, was that when our kids go online, they don't start in their email. Like we all tend to start in email when we start things. Kids do not. They typically start on Google Drive. They go directly to Drive, or Google Classroom. They skip over navigating from their email to another location. That's actually a good thing to think about because it's a step saver for kids and families. If we're telling them to go to their email and get this and then go here, it's a step saver to say just go directly to a location. So I'm going to ask you right now, you can all do this on your own too if you want to do a side window. I'm going to go to classroom.google.com. And so I have a bunch of classes. I've been invited to certain ones too by my teachers. But I have a faculty room classroom. I've had this for 5 years now, since we opened. So this is I add teachers and I take them away. I'm just giving you a quick tour of what my classroom looks like. Then I'll tell you how to build one. Okay. So we have a stream. We have people. So on the top, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. On the top, the name of the class appears in the upper right-hand corner. In my case, it's the faculty. It has the stream, which is all the stuff that's going on. It has classwork. which is where I put assignments in. It has people. So here are the two teachers of the class, myself and Jen Blue, and then all the quote unquote students, which are all the teachers in the school. Okay. And then the grades, if you choose to do grades. Now, I don't think that's a necessary step unless you want it to be. If you want to have a grade section, do the grades. If not, it's not key. So for teachers that are new to this, for administrators that are new to this, forget about it. Don't bother doing it. It's not worth the effort. Now on the stream, one of the things you'll see is in the upper left, there is a class code. There are two ways for someone to get into my Google Classroom. Number one is they add it themselves and enter the code. Or number two, I, as the teacher, enroll them. Now, as I'm sure my colleagues can attest, middle school and high school kids can enroll themselves. Teachers do not need to waste time enrolling kids into classes. I would venture a guess that fourth and fifth graders could probably enroll themselves too, especially with some of the students who know this process already. I think most likely the K-3 level, teachers are going to have to enroll their kids themselves because it's too many steps for someone who may not be familiar with the technology. I just wanted to show you a little bit, for example, like when I do mandate, where's a good one here? This is a view more. So SBAC, like when we did SBAC, I asked my teachers, upload your SBAC certificates to show me that you've done it. And then I have a record now of all the SBAC training certificates. So don't give me a hard copy, save time. I don't want to do that. Okay. So just what it might look like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a class as if you had to create a class. Okay. So I'm back to this classroom.google.com. Now, I'm going to give you the best advice I can give you before we even make the class. Google Classroom has a notification process. I hate notifications. Now, if you like notifications, please ignore me. Like on my phone, the only notification I get is a cell phone call. I don't take notifications for anything because they make me insane. And your email can very, very quickly become insane if you're getting notifications. So I actually have notifications turned off completely for Google Classroom for my own personal sanity. Now, if your personal sanity requires you to get notifications, just ignore what I'm saying. So I'm on the initial page of the Google Classroom. Okay? You will see three bars, the three bars across here. If I click on that, it'll give me a list of my classes, what I'm teaching right now. At the bottom, there's a button that says Settings. What I want you to do is click on that button that says Settings. By the way, if you have no Google Classrooms right now, you can actually do this. Click on the thing that says Settings. Now, yours will look like this. I'll turn mine back on. You'll have all these notifications. If you want to receive notifications or specific notifications for something, leave them on. For me, I don't want any notifications. So what I'm going to do is right here where it says email, receive email notifications, I'm turning it off. Okay? I don't want any of those notifications. I'm done. Okay? So if you don't want to receive the notifications, don't receive them. If you want to see them for now until you get comfortable with it and then realize you don't want them, you can always turn them off. But it's right here at the Waffle, not the Waffle, at the three bars at the beginning. Now, I want to create a Google class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to plus right here on the upper right-hand corner. Okay? And when I click on plus, it'll give me, let me see if we can zoom in a little on that. Okay, it'll give me two options. Wait for my screen to catch up to me. It'll say join class or create class. In the case, if I'm making a faculty room as a principal or as an administrator, I'm going to do create class. So I click on create class. The only thing that is required is a class name. So maybe I'll say Danbury Public Schools super users. Maybe I'll use this later today. I don't need a section, subject, or room. I don't need to do that. Then when I'm done with that, I hit create. And it's going to create it. Jump, 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 jump. And then I have my super users class. I'm going to back off this a little bit. Okay. Super users. I guess it must think I want money. Now you'll notice here, you get the classroom code. So this is what you would send if you wanted to a person who would want to join the class. Okay, that is changeable if you need to change it. This one looks really good. I can tell what all the letters are, initials are. So in the event that you send that to someone, or for principals, if you're getting the code from your teachers and you want to join the class, back here at classes, you could do the same thing again. Oop, wrong way. In that case, you would join the class. And then you'd put that code that I just did. I didn't put the code in. And then I could join the class. Now, for secondary teachers that have multiple classrooms, classes, you would probably have multiple classrooms. You could theoretically put them all into one classroom. It's not something that I recommend doing. It's hard to sort and sift through work at that point. It's easier to manage smaller groups. Okay? The dashboard really doesn't have, I don't think was ever intended to have the number of classes that some people are going to have on their dashboards. It'll work for it. So there are not folders on the dashboard for the Google Classroom. They're just going to appear this way. So moving on, super users. So we're in the super users. So you're either going, so for people, and here's the teacher. If you want to add someone as another teacher, you can invite a teacher. If you want to add students, you can add them yourself. It's pretty straightforward. You click on the Add Students button, and then you put the email addresses in. The email addresses are available through PowerSchool. I'm not going to go through that process right now, but if that's something you need help with, that's something you can ask a super user about, how to pull email addresses from PowerSchool to make class lists. And your other option is to just send out and share that code with people, and they can enroll themselves. Okay. So in the classroom, there's two approaches. I think the easiest way, from my perspective, is run everything through classwork. However, you can run messages through the stream. We just post announcements and respond to posts. You can create in the classroom assignments, quiz assignments, questions, materials, posts, or topics. If you select the topics, you can basically create sections in your classroom for different things. So maybe I have a topic that is important resources, and I can put that there. And I'm going to have another topic that is return documents. You can set this up any way you want to set this up. I have the option to switch them. I can move them up and down. Like I want to target resources on the top, I can move it. I'm going to put this on the bottom so you can create sections. Okay. If I want to create something, I come to the three dots up and down. Oh, sorry. I'm going to create an assignment. An assignment means you're expecting to receive something back. So there's going to be something pushed out, something pulled back. Okay. So you give it a title. submitting your abstract. I don't know what it is. You give instructions, do these steps. Okay. It can go to all students, or if you have a subgroup, you can select the subgroup. Not important right now. Actually, let's leave that alone. This is baby steps 101. So I can add something from my Google Drive, an outside link, upload a file, or something from YouTube. A link from YouTube are my choices. The link in YouTube could be the same thing theoretically. I encourage you to not attach files. I encourage you to do things that are Google Docs. And the reason I encourage that is you get more choices when you add something from Google Drive. Files, sometimes if you're in the wrong format, people can't access them. Again, back to that original philosophy thing I talked about. Okay, be device agnostic when possible. Using Google Docs is a device agnostic technique. Using Word docs, using PowerPoint presentation instead of Google presentations are not agnostic strategies because you have to have that software to access it. And if you have a Chromebook, you can't access it. Or you can access it in a limited fashion when it takes it and converts it into a Google presentation. So, so try to think about being device agnostic. Okay, so checklist, notifications, nomenclature, class for students, and a chat in Google Docs. Okay, so I've actually done the things I wanted to do. Good. So I want to go back to where's that classroom? Right over here. So if I add something on Google Drive, it's going to ask me. So let's say I add this interaction activity that we did earlier today, or maybe I'm going to add this presentation. That's the presentation that I was showing you today. I get these choices now, and the choices are student can view file, but if I drop down, then I can have student edit file or make a copy for each student. This is like the power. This is like the power of the whole system. So if I say students can view a file, they can look at it and just look at it. They can't do anything to it. If I say students can edit the file, then the students get the one file, and they can do whatever they want to it collaboratively. Now there are instructional strategies where you might want to do that. And then the last option is make a copy for each student. In that case, everybody gets their own copy and they can do with it what they please. So in the scenario here that I'm presenting, which is giving this presentation, I would clearly make a copy for each student. That way, if Edie wants to edit it for her group, and Marnie wants to edit it for her group, and Dave wants to edit it for his group, you each have your own copies to work with, so you can do whatever you want to it. The power of this too is that if you're sending out a document for teachers to fill out, make a copy, they fill it out, they send it back to you. Teachers doing something worksheety in nature where they want to have student responses, then students can go in and take their own copies and not edit each of them. So this to me is the superpower of the whole thing, where if you added a Google Drive document, you get these options of view, edit, or make a copy for each student. Okay? So that's going to be the basics of setting up a classroom. Stream is in a linear fashion, so let me get back to a normal size here, reset. I'm going to cancel that out. I'm actually going to knock this classroom out. The stream can sometimes get overwhelming because it's the running record of everything, sorted by date. You can shift things in case, but classwork by topics is probably the easiest and cleanest way to do things. There is a really nice video that John LaRosa curated for us. So if you want to see a lot of the stuff I just talked about, where you can stop and pause and go back and forth, check out this tutorial that will be on the checklist when I push it out. And that is the set up your Google Classroom situation. What I am going to do, so I have a 12 o'clock meeting with the super users, and I have another meeting after that. Later this afternoon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the stuff that I've done here today and convert more of the philosophy stuff, convert that to a direct presentation that teachers can view. So really just to get that mindset of what we're looking for and how we do it. And we'll push that out so you can share that with your faculty. So if you want to use the presentation as is yourself and modify it, you can do that. If you want to just push out the video that I send later today, which will be targeted for teachers, there'll be a few different things in it that I'm going to talk about. That's some of the stuff that's currently residing in the basement right now. You can do that too. Jackie is asking, how do we as admin monitor staff concerning quality work produced to students? So I think, Jen and I have been talking, we haven't totally wrapped our heads around an answer to this, but we know the things we want to monitor are, number one, interaction. We want to know when those interactions are happening so we can ensure that kids are connecting with their teachers, because we think, being connected is so super important. And then the other thing we can monitor is if we get added as teachers to these Google Classrooms, we can see the teachers and the work coming back in. And clearly we can watch grades on PowerSchool, although I know central office is still working out some of the bugaboos around grading online. So I'm not going to talk too much about grading in PowerSchool because I know that's a topic for further examination by Dr. Salstein. Anybody else have any questions? I'll wait a minute more.
Great wait time, Frank.
All right. So again, if anyone needs specific help, please put the super users back up again. For admins, where are you? So there it is. Okay. So I'm just going to tie it up by saying, let's think about digital learning for interaction and for standards-based learning. We keep those two things in the forefront at all times. We're going to have a successful process. There are lots of questions coming in. If anyone, I'm going to just say goodbye and then I'll go through the questions. I did a couple questions that popped up, I noticed as I'm kind of signing off. You can meet through Google Meet. You can meet through Google Classroom. And we're going to make sure there's lots of support. There's going to be professional development opportunities all the time. We're going to ask the super users to help with that, leading topics that they're interested in sharing about. And we'll have a master schedule broken into, beginner, medium, and expert sessions for people that want to learn more. So thanks everyone for joining me. I'm trying to see if there's anything. Is there a way to support teachers with the organization right from the start? So I'm going to suggest that new teachers, and I'm going to talk to the super users about really trying to partner with people to ask people questions and get advice from the people who are doing this on a daily basis. Is there any videos or conference calls for staff scheduled? So Jackie, I am actually meeting with the super users at 12 o'clock today to get marching orders going with them so that they're ready to go. And I'm personally meeting with my own super users from my own school at 1:30 today, and then I'm doing a faculty meeting tomorrow at 12. So anyway, that's how we've got it going on. And then we're going to start a schedule up where there are professional development opportunities for people who want to learn specific things. Okay. Karen, you were asking the importance of using Google Docs Sheets and not using Microsoft or applesauce. Microsoft or Apple-based software. It will be a nightmare for kids too. So again, device agnostic. Okay. Kara's saying, Jackie, you schedule your own faculty stuff, and she's already responded. Okay, so you got that message already. All right, so for the 60 that are still remaining from our initial 96, I think it was, thank you for joining me today. It was great talking with you. If anybody needs anything, give me a call. Give Chris, John, Meg, Laura, Dana, Mark, or Christy a call as well. We're here to help you. This is only going to work if we do this together. and do stuff that we know works for kids. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I'm going to be ending the meeting for all. Bye-bye.